Why is no one talking about this? Have I found a possible new Tesla Model Y staring at us in the face? It feels kind of crazy producing a whole video on this because no one else has. So much so it feels like I'm starting a brand new rumour. This isn't about the new Model Y long-range rear-wheel drive that I discussed previously, which is now live in mainland Europe by the way. But the reason I want to put this video out there is because I think that there's a reasonable chance this previously European exclusive Tesla Model Y is being delivered out of Europe and in right-hand drive for the first time, including countries such as India, UK, Ireland, and maybe more countries to follow. But this Model Y has been highly anticipated around the world because of its value for money and for arguably having one of the best charging experiences that you can get with a Tesla. Therefore, for this video, I'll be talking why this Model Y trim is so freakishly unique and why I think us Brits and more could be about to get something very special very soon. Plus, how to increase your chances of getting hold of one if it does materialise, and that's because I think it will be delivered in small quantities and there's no guarantee that you'll be able to be delivered this Tesla with its structural battery pack. We'll get to the truth real soon because I'll be only finding out if this rumour is true as we head into this quarter's deliveries. Tesla never really confirms these things, but there's definitely nuggets of evidence over the Tesla website already, and there's media reports that some UK deliveries are coming from Germany starting from this quarter, which is crucial for this rumour having any foundation. This is exactly where I will start presenting my case to give it a foundation and more. Plus, if I'm wrong, I'm not going to be afraid to say that I was wrong. After all, it's a strong possibility that I could be, but I think I have a sufficient case based on the evidence that I'm about to show you. So why is this freakishly unique Model Y in such high demand? This Tesla Model Y rear-wheel drive BYD Blade Battery has been an exclusive Tesla Model Y build for mainland Europe since 2023. This rear-wheel drive Model Y has a few quirks and enhancements up its sleeve, with a few associated disadvantages as a result. But the biggest driving factor to this variant is that it's an absolute charging monster at the supercharger. It still has the same 170 kilowatts max charging speed as the typical rear-wheel drive Model Y that you can buy all the way around the world today. But the sorcery isn't in the max charging speed, it's actually how long that max charging rate can be sustained for. Take a look at this comparison on the screen. When plugged in at 20%, it can sustain that max charging speed until 50% before it starts to then taper down. The time it takes to get from 10% to 20% in this article states that it takes just under 20 minutes. That, sir, madam, is rapid. How Tesla can do this with the BYD battery variant over the more common rear-wheel drive Model Y with the cattle battery variant is beyond me, especially as this is the same battery found in BYD's Atto 3, and the specs on that come nowhere near despite being the same battery. Anyhow, both the rear-wheel drive Model Ys, whether that be the cattle or the BYD Blade variant, have the same LFP battery chemistry, which means charging to 100% frequently is advised by Tesla, and degradation over time for LFP batteries is notorious for being one of the best, as seeing very little degradation over time. So the main advantage here is that charging speed is next level. The disadvantages is that the battery pack is 2 kilowatt hours smaller than the cattle variant, and it's very marginally heavier at 8 kilograms more. But the range is still quoted as the same as far as I'm aware, so that's 455 kilometers or 283 miles WLTP for 100% practical range daily. Plus the charging stops will be super quick. Otherwise virtually identical to the cattle variant at no additional cost. This Model Y is probably the most suited for those that use superchargers very little across the year. That's going to be most users, but also want the quickest charging experience possible when they do use the superchargers without the bigger price tag of having a long-range Model Y. So what's the catch then, Adam? Well, this has been delivered to left-hand drive European countries exclusively by Giga Berlin since 2023. That's until these reports of right-hand drive variants were being built within Giga Berlin for India, UK and Ireland became circulating just the other week. Now, this report also coincides with a change in the colour options available for selection. Here in the UK, the multi-coat red colour and the midnight grey colour has been dropped for two new colours. One of them is exclusive to Giga Berlin. Midnight Cherry Red and Quicksilver. Now, Quicksilver has been announced from Tesla China and rumoured to be US bound shortly too. Midnight Cherry, however, you can't get that from Giga Shanghai, Giga Texas or Fremont, but you can get it from Giga Berlin. This therefore gives my theory some legs off the back of the rumours that Giga Berlin is finally producing right-hand drive variants for the Model Y, and that's for India and the UK and Ireland for the first time. That's unless Giga Shanghai, who currently supply 100% of Model 3s and Model Y deliveries, suddenly just make a small amount of Midnight Cherry Red vehicles, and the odds of that happening are slim, as Tesla has always got an eye on cost efficiency, and making such a small batch for UK and Ireland before then changing back to Ultra Red for the other markets that it serves seems a little too much of a stretch for me. So in my mind and eyes, like I said, I still could be wrong, but the media reports together what we know on exclusive colours, this seems logical to me. The next critical question we must ask ourselves is that, could every Tesla UK bound then be delivered from Giga Berlin? And keeping it real, this I cannot answer with the same confidence of before. However, looking at mainland Europe and their deliveries over 2023, we can get an idea if this BYD Tesla Model Y variant is coming to the UK and how to increase your chances of getting one if it all plays out. Mainland Europe currently gets Model Y deliveries from both Giga Shanghai and Giga Berlin. The Model 3 only comes from Giga Shanghai. Therefore, I'm speculating that the same will happen here in the UK and Ireland. The UK will no longer receive cars solely from Tesla China, but there will be an allocation from Tesla Berlin. Looking at the inventory page of new cars in transit, the address bar indicates that there is the usual shipment from Tesla China. But this then leads me to the next question. Can you then pick which Tesla you want to buy and where from? Yes and no. Yes, you can still pick all your normal options from, the rear wheel drive to the long range to the performance Model Y, your color options, the white interior, etc. Whatever jazz you want. But you have absolutely no control if it's a made in China Model Y or a made in Germany Model Y. So is there any way that you can influence where it comes from? Yes, there's two methods where this can be influenced. So let's go through these two methods to increase your chances of securing this desired Model Y variant. So if you select a rear-wheel drive Model Y in mainland Europe, you are allocated either the usual Cattle or the BYD battery variant by Tesla. Can you request them to allocate you a different Model Y? Yes, and I call this the old-fashioned way of communication. Is this guaranteed to work? And sadly, no. Tesla will probably insist that you have the option to take delivery of the car that's allocated to you, or you'll need to restart the delivery process again at the detriment of your order fee. However, there is one way I think that you can increase your chances of obtaining a Model Y rear-wheel drive with the Blade Battery, if that is your desired option. And that is to order it in Midnight Cherry Red. This is because this can only come from Giga Berlin, being an exclusive colour. That doesn't mean any other colour won't have the BYD Blade Battery, but just that if you ordered a Model Y in any other colour, it's more likely to be a lottery between receiving a made in China Model Y that will definitely have the Cattle variant, or a made in Berlin Model Y that could have the BYD Blade Battery. Is there a way to know what Model Y has been allocated to you before taking delivery? Yes, this as part of the delivery process, you are allocated a unique vehicle identification number, also known as a VIN. I mentioned this earlier in the video when looking at the Model Ys in transit. Essentially, this code provides some insight into where the Tesla was manufactured, the motor setup, and more. And you may want to take a note of this chart on the screen, as you can check your VIN before your delivery to help give you an indication what to expect. Now, there is one more thing you should know about Giga Berlin Model Ys. I believe they also make Model Y rear-wheel drives in the Cattle batteries. Therefore, even if you buy a Midnight Cherry Model Y and you are allocated a made in Germany VIN, you could still end up with a Model Y with a Cattle battery. This has been the pain of existing Europeans trying to secure this exact same model today, which leads me perfectly to the conclusion. What should you then do if you want a BYD powered Model Y rear-wheel drive? Despite the struggles of trying to secure this supercharging monster, the reality is you only have a small influence of which rear-wheel drive Model Y you are allocated. whether that be by asking a Tesla advisor or by acquiring the midnight cherry red colour. Even then, there are no guarantees that you will get allocated this desired Model Y. Therefore, my advice is that if you want to buy a Tesla Model Y, be prepared to take delivery of a cattle-powered Model Y too. They are both LFP batteries and have identical specs. If you are using the supercharger network less frequently, you will witness next to no benefit by having the BYD variant anyway. So pick the colour that you truly desire, pick the different alloys, etc. Just make it exactly how you want it, so you don't need to be disheartened if a BYD Tesla Model Y isn't allocated to you. The odds of securing the opportunity to own one may have now increased if the UK is now receiving a supply from Giga Berlin, but ultimately this may not even materialise at all. Tesla China may continue to supply all the rear-wheel drive variants and just allow Giga Germany to produce the higher ticket long range and performance variants for the UK. However, to counter that, if the new right-hand drive lines were built to supply India and the UK, I would expect India to have higher demand for the rear-wheel drive variant, so I personally believe that there is still a reasonable chance here. But I really need those that are taking deliveries of a Model Y within the UK to drop in the comments below if you have been allocated a VIN, and does this start with XP7? There's a bunch of numbers after it that we don't need to know, but this would be a good start if we see rear-wheel drive Model Ys starting with the Giga Berlin code of XP7. This may even be just for the end of quarter deliveries, or maybe the rear-wheel drive variants start in the following quarter. Ultimately, only time will tell if this is going to be true. So what do you folks think? Have I seriously overthought this, or do you truly believe, like me, that I could actually be onto something exclusive here? Let me know in the comments below. If you haven't done so already, drop me a like, subscribe and share the video with any friends or family that may find the video beneficial. You folks have been great and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.